Hello and welcome to my studio. My name is Agassi, and on my table today a very special project. For my father's 60th birthday, I made him this book. In this video, I want to show you the process of making the box. A box I plan to close with this miniature sword. I have the pleasure of working side by side with my father for 30 years. Together we have a private press called Even Hoshen. It specializes in books and limited editions. That means special paper, original works of art, everything is printed letterpress and of course hand-bound. For his 60th birthday, I decided to make him a book. It's actually one chapter of the book Don Quixote, and the chapter is about Don Quixote visiting a printing shop. Cervantes is making fun of publishers and translators, and I thought this is the perfect gift for him. I started creating this book by setting type, the first step in letterpress printing. The tool I hold in my hand is called a composing stick, and it helps gather the type in the right order and allows all the lines to be in the same length and create a form which is later moved and locked on the bed of the press for printing. I have several presses in my studio, but I usually print on the proof press manufactured by Hunter Penrose called Little John, a British-built press equivalent to the Vandercook No. 4. I wanted to make a simple cloth binding with Hahnemuller handmade paper. The book is constructed from one signature, that means 4 folded sheets of paper, and 2 etchings by the artist Zvika Lachman. I made the piercing for sewing as the location of the text block. And I used brown linen thread for sewing the signature with a simple knot inside. This book deserves a box, a special box. Actually, I feel every book deserves a box because I want the reader to do some kind of a journey before he reaches the book within. And then it occurred to me, when I was a small boy, my parents had a set of 8 miniature swords to serve cheese and olives. This is the set. And then I thought I can take one miniature sword and lock the box with it. Idea in mind, let's start working. I start by measuring the length, width, and thickness, and from there cutting the cloth and the boards into size. I'm adding 1.5 centimeter to the length. The width is different for each of the 3 parts. I'm using my big brush for gluing the boards. An important tip for you is to always aim to glue the thicker material first, because when damp, material warps, it expands, and the thicker the material, the less it would expand. The strip I'm gluing is the spine of the box. Because this box has 3 parts, it has 2 spines. I'm using a spacer to make the gap between the boards. This gap is 3 millimeters, but it changes between different boxes. Flipping it over to work with the bone folder, especially at the edges and between the gaps. This part is very satisfying to do, and I find myself doing it more than I need to. I'm trimming all around to have an even 2 centimeter border for exact turn-ins, and I'm cutting the cloth in a 45-degree angle, allowing me to make the corners. I start by gluing the long face first, and then work with my thumb to make sure no gaps form between the board and the cloth. And then I work with the bone folder. And diving into the details. I'm making the strips for the lock. I'm starting with them because they will determine the width of the cut I need and the gap between them. First, I mark with a needle. Cut. And to make my life easy, I use a dental spatula to make the cut wider. That helps me insert the strip into place. Pull it a bit and onto the small strips that would hold the sword in place. One needs to be bigger than the other because of the sword hilt. Moving on to the inner spine, covering it with cloth. If you need to take something from this video, please take this needle trick I do to help me bring materials exactly into place. Again, my bone folder's satisfying moment. Out with the needles. And off to the surgery. I'm cutting and taking out board material as thick as the strip, so no big gap would be visible. After all, it is the small details that make the difference. This is the perpendicular I'm working on. I made it 1 mm thicker than the book inside. I'm covering 3 sides that would be visible, and the bottom will be connected to the middle of the box. This part is very important to cover properly, as it can be seen from all 5 directions. I love the process of making these miniature parts. They reflect your precision in small scale. My beloved weights help me bring the paper for lining the box exactly into place. As you can see, I use the weights all the time. They are a great tool to have in your studio. The final stage in this box is to connect the top and bottom perpendiculars. They would hold the book in place. I made them to be as the inner spine of the box, so everything would close tight and fine. I use the weights for better connection. Let's take the weights out. And the moment of truth. Let me put the book inside. Fits nicely. Close it up. And lock it with a miniature sword. How amazing is that? An idea becoming a reality. You're welcome to hit the like button if you like this video, and also subscribe if you like things related to letterpress, bookbinding, or box making. I'll see you in the next video.